Hi there, this is Christina with Christina Menzie Massage Therapy, and I should say energy work, because this video I'm just going to talk a little bit about Jikiden Reiki and just some of the common questions that I get asked from doing this type of energy work. A really prominent question, especially with people who have been working with me for a while, ask me if I take on any of their quote-unquote negative energy or the discomfort or pain that they're going through. And the answer is no, that doesn't actually happen with this particular style of Reiki. With Jikiden Reiki, we're trained to allow our own bodies and our own minds and basically just the entirety of our being to be a channel for energy to flow through. So we don't get that the risk of taking on other people's energy, which is it really takes the load off for the person who's receiving and for the practitioner, but especially for you guys as clients. I think it's really helpful for you to know that no one's suffering at the expense of your healing process. It's actually a beneficial thing for me, which is one of the reasons why I really like doing energy work, is it clears me out energetically as I am doing the work. Sometimes the things I do feel things that are going on with people, and sometimes it does kind of flush through my body if my hands are touching the person. So the moment I take my hands off of someone, nothing lasts. But sometimes what I'll feel is if the person's really exhausted, I start feeling really, really tired. If the person is having a lot of heartache or difficult emotional experiences, I can start to feel that, and I'll feel it welling up inside of me, but it's distinctly different. But it's the same flavor. It's almost like having like a leftover taste in my mouth or something. It's like this remnant of a feeling is kind of what I start picking up on with the person. Sometimes I'll feel like my tooth will ache, and then I'll later find out that the person has some kind of a tooth infection. But generally that doesn't happen as much as what I can just feel with my hands. So that's kind of another interesting question that people ask, is like, what does it actually feel like? What does the energy itself feel like? And so with Jikiden Reiki, we're trained to perceive different sensations, and I highly encourage any of you guys, if you're interested in learning more about Jikiden Reiki, to take a class, because it really is designed for as a householder healing modality, because people who need to receive it every day can't necessarily afford to pay for it. So it's really designed to train caretakers and parents, to really take care of their family and bring this wonderful modality into their home so that financial restrictions don't pertain to that. So some of the things that I feel often is if there's especially a lot going on in your area, sometimes I really feel kind of like this ball, it's kind of like a fuzzy or a buzzing, like when you clap your hands together in that remnant buzz feeling, and it seems to have more of like a ball-like shape. If there's kind of a trapped energy between joints, I really notice that. In people's hips, I can feel that. Between the shoulder and the neck, sometimes I feel like kind of like a mass of energy is just kind of stuck there. So there's a lot of different sensations that I feel in my hands, and with Jikiden Reiki, that's really informative for when I need to move on to a certain area, or when that area has kind of resolved for the best that it can in that session. And then from session to session, I'll take notes on what I felt in a certain area so I can kind of see what has improved where. I just kind of want to promote that the reality that anyone can learn Jikiden Reiki. Anyone can learn any kind of Reiki, but the type that I do is Jikiden, which is the original Japanese teachings. And there's a wonderful teacher in McKinleyville who taught me and is teaching many other people. And even if you don't want to go to a practitioner level with it, but you want to take care of, like I said, you're a caretaker role, or you have family members, I highly recommend studying from her, and you can just message me for that information if you are interested in that. And, you know, it just takes time to perceive the rhythms of what's going on in a person's body. So, you know, when you do take a training, give yourself time. What's kind of funny to me is I never thought of myself as an energy worker. I always, even though I've always been interested in mystical things and just the world, spirituality always intrigued me. Energy work was always something I kind of scoffed at because I thought you can't measure that. Goes against my scientific, rational brain. I always kind of wrote people off as scam artists or something like that. And so it kind of, every once in a while, it boggles my mind that I do energy work with people, and then I kind of go into a little bit of intuitive reading. Sometimes when information comes to me about a person, or maybe suggestions about their life and what they should be working on and focusing on, sometimes it kind of baffles me. I'm like, who would have thought you'd be at this place in your life where you're really comfortable doing this profound work? And so that's really cool to me. I think it really is a big testament to this type of energy work because it is so grounded in what to be feeling for, what I'm looking for. The sensations the sensations I feel mean something, so I know where to go with it. And so that really grounds this type of work. It's a little less wooey than more that I would be comfortable with this way. And so that kind of brings me to another question of, do you have to be like psychic, or do you have to have psychic abilities to do energy work? And the answer is absolutely not. This is not something that is limited to people who have special abilities. Reiki is really an ability that every single person on this planet is capable of doing. And the intuitive portion, the information that I feel really guided to share with people sometimes is more a result of developing a regular meditation practice and doing this energy work for a while. So I'm able to hear what is really meant for this person to hear, and what is it that's just my own stuff that's going through my own head. I think it just takes some time to kind of distinguish, and it's an interesting process. If any of you have any questions about that, I'd love to answer that and talk more about that. And it's interesting because when people are really receptive for hearing information, I seem to have a lot more of it for people. What's interesting about that is sometimes people can say they want information, and at some level they really aren't ready to hear something. And by the way, I never tell someone like, oh, you need to leave your husband, or you need to move to another country, or you've got to do this right now. That really kind of goes against my own method of helping someone on their healing path. I feel like if someone is telling you, you have to do this right now or else, it's kind of a sign to be a little bit wary of what this person is trying to tell you. If it resonates for you, then go for it. But I really shy away from that because ultimately, I don't know what your spiritual journey is. I don't know the types of experiences that you need to have in order to grow. I just do know that some of the things that I hear are good directions to point people in to help further their development and strengthen their ability to reason things out on their own path and gain more confidence in their own intuitive connection and spiritual connection. So what I really love about sharing with people after an energy work treatment is really practical elements of just the intuitive information that I get. A lot of it has to do with how to put in physical form something that they need to do to gain some spiritual growth. So I really kind of shy away from making it into this wooey, just think about this 5 times, or I don't really even know how to put it into words, but there's physical actions that you can take to really ground yourself into the next level of transition. That's what I'm trying to say. And the physical actions that I suggest for people, it's always just a suggestion, so people never have to do it anyway, obviously. But I highly suggest it, and it's being suggested for a reason, to help you kind of jump to the next level of your own growth. So it's always up to the individual whether or not they want to take these suggestions. But like I said, I'm never going to tell someone, you're doing it all wrong and you have to do it this way and this is how you need to change. It's really, my way is a lot more gentle, subtle, but very direct also. So I kind of look at it as like, I kind of offer stepping stones, like, hey, look at this practical thing that may be in addition to your process. So yeah, I think that is all I kind of wanted to say, except one other thought about sometimes people have an issue, or they think they're having an issue when it doesn't seem like their minds can shut off for an energy work treatment. And this can happen from time to time, and it's completely normal. Like, I've experienced that in sessions that I've received at times too. And what's important for people to remember is that you can't get in the way of the energy. Whatever is being processed in your mind, even if it feels really mundane and you're kind of going through your grocery list, or you're going through the things that are stressing you out, and you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm getting in the way of my own healing, it's not true. That really needs to be processed at the level of energy healing that we're doing together. And it's happening on multiple levels. It's happening physiologically, it's happening mentally, physically, and spiritually for you. So sometimes people kind of unnecessarily stress themselves out. Sometimes people also are kind of trying to make the energy work better by maybe reciting a mantra or something in their head, and that's also not necessarily necessary. What's the primary thing you need to do is just be open to receiving energy. Just kind of imagine yourself as a sponge and kind of getting plugged in. With the mental emotional treatment, what is really common is to have flashes of memories during a mental emotional session. And a lot of times it's kind of like watching a movie that doesn't always line up. It's like, why am I thinking about this thing that happened when I was 5? And it doesn't seem very consequential. It's not always a very traumatic event or anything. It's usually something that's just like, oh, I haven't thought about that thing in a while, and why am I thinking about that? So I don't want you to get hung up on that either. I encourage people to write it down, whatever they remember. But a lot of times during the mental emotional treatment, people in the moment, they're like, wow, I'm thinking about all these seemingly profound and yet mundane things. These are like memories that are coming to people, but then at the very end of the session they can only remember like 2 or 3 of them, and it seemed like such a long sequence of things that they were calling so purposefully. And I just say, it's just part of the process. Like, your brain kind of needed to be the channel for that information to flow and kind of click through. But the things that do stick out to you, I really highly recommend writing down and keeping a journal for the energy work stuff that you do. So I hope this video wasn't too long. I might break it up into a couple of pieces so people can watch it maybe a little without interruption, maybe easier, shorter video. But yeah, I just wanted to answer some questions, and feel free to add any questions to the comments, and I would love to share what I know. Okay, thanks.